Oh, trust me, I've been there. Wanting to try a new game but being dirt broke. Well, thankfully there's Steam free to play. Back in my day, the options were really limited on what you could play, but thankfully, as the free to play model has been working for more and more games, the amount of free to play games on Steam has vastly grown. On top of that, a lot of survival games release in early access. I know how hard it is to put money down on an early access game just to be bit in the butt a few months later. Now, I won't be reviewing every free-to-play title on Steam that is a survival game, and if you actually have some, go ahead and drop them down in the comments, obviously after you've seen which ones I've picked. But other than that, let's just go ahead and jump in and start looking at some free-to-play survival games. Before actually jumping into Stay Out, let's just go ahead and see what we're working with the Steam store page description of Stay Out. Stay Out is an MMORPG with shooter elements based on the spirit of stalking and urban exploration. Already by that, you can probably gather that this game is gathering a lot of inspiration from the Stalker series. Let's go ahead and read a little bit further on about this game. You can also discover a world full of dangers and incredible events, which has its own laws and principles. Become one of the stalkers, people living the romance of the unknown, able to overcome any trials in search of artifacts on the territory of the alien nation zone. This is becoming really hard to read. Surviving harsh conditions when you count every sip of water and every match. Secret laboratories, life forms, and unknown origin, mysterious anomalies, and strange artifacts that challenge and knowledge of laws of nature, all in this huge world of Stay Out. Boy, if you aren't excited to play Stay Out, I surely am not. This is a confusing mess for me. Let's go ahead and just move on. But with that, I know this is taking a big inspiration from the Stalker series, so before I even jump in, I guess I kinda know what I'm getting into. Booting up the game, you're greeted with character customization screen that doesn't look too bad, to be honest. First impressions are everything, and so far I'm kinda mixed. Initially, this long and drawn-out tutorial had me extremely bored, so I just skipped it and crossed my fingers and hoped for the best. I will say the game already is very Stalker reminiscent, so I guess it's a good thing in the terms of what the game is going for. For being called a stalker and being told to go get artifacts and whatnot, it's definitely off to an interesting start. Being let into the open world after getting my first quest, my first encounter was with a rat that didn't really go very well. After a few missed shots, or I guess the game just deciding that my revolver wasn't going to hit, I immediately felt like this was just an MMORPG sort of disguised as a stalker game. I mean, this is, I guess, exactly what they were aiming for, at least with the description, but it isn't really a survival game. Either way, we press forward and start our first quest. That being running from one city to another city. It definitely feels like baby's first quest, but you gotta start somewhere, I guess. Upon reaching the first NPC, pretty much just tells me, yeah, you see that blue line on your map you're already following? Just continue to follow that and you'll be good. The only real importance he offers is a side quest that involves picking up flowers and giving it to him, so I'm just gonna go ahead and skip whatever he has to offer for now. Following down the blue line, I pass about 2 or 3 more rats, and I just decide to run past them as my first encounter with an enemy is just very lackluster, so I don't really have a reason to want to enjoy the PvE in this game. I finally get another quest to actually advance the story, and is collecting some copper wire from a transformer for this guy in the actual train station, which apparently I've been trying to go to this entire time. Well, talking to the guy, he didn't really give me any real info on where to find this copper transformer from, so I just kind of roam around until I finally figured it out after watching a YouTube video. I'm very upset that I had to actually admit that. After giving this part to this man, I get nothing in return, and he just kind of acts like nothing ever happened. So that was a really fun way to spend the last 10 minutes of my life. I know these are probably somewhat common in MMO games, but I really hate these kind of fetch quests where it's really pointless and I don't really get much out of it. It really just feels like a waste of time, and I'm not a big MMO person, so really not enjoying myself right now. At this point, it's time for me to collect my first artifact, and I'm gonna be honest, if I collect this artifact and still told I have to hang out in this like starting tutorial area, it's probably gonna be it for me. To make it even better, the quest tells me just to head down the railroad tracks and not which ones, so I start off this quest by going down the wrong railroad track, so you know, again, a great start to this one. It's crazy that my biggest waste of time for this game could have been easily bypassed by just putting some sort of small map marker on the map just to make this more convenient, more user-friendly. But hey, this is a survival game, so you know, we have to find everything for ourselves. Either way, we make it to the artifact, and the artifact grabbing is actually kind of fun. You get this little device that reads the artifact, I guess, and then you have to play just a little mini game where you press the corresponding buttons, it tells you to press, and you collect the artifact. On my way back to the train station, it hits me. I am not having any fun, and I'm extremely bored right now. This game somehow took the least exciting aspects from MMOs and survival games and just kind of put them together. I finally returned the artifact, and I am now told to go to a village that is in square C5. For reference, I'm around square E8, and it doesn't look that close to me. This same village is the first village I started off in on my blue line quest. Yeah, that's where I'm going to have to go ahead and call this one. This game is just not for me. I'm just going to say, unless you're a giant fan of the Stalker series and for some reason just can't wait for Stalker 2, maybe this game's for you, but holy hell, it wasn't for me. Like I said, just taking the worst parts of each genre, MMOs with the grindiness and boring fetch quests, and survival games with the walking simulator type things with not really much to do in between, you just get this bland piece of garbage. Let's go ahead and do what this game tells me to do and just stay out. I'm going to stay out of this game for the rest of my life. Well, that looks like that takes us to our next game, which is Will to Live Online, which I was pretty excited to try out, but now after Stay Out, I'm feeling a little less excited for just reading the description. It looks like I may have just accidentally picked two games that were pretty similar to each other, so I'll try to keep this one a little short and sweet for you. Just like in Stay Out, this game allows you to skip certain parts of the tutorial that they feel like are a little bit redundant, like the obstacle course, which I could guarantee was just telling me how to press space on my keyboard, which I don't really need anymore. After this tutorial area, it seems like you're gonna have to walk a while to go to this first like tutorial starting town like we had to in Stay Out, but actually the game just teleports you there, so kudos to them for making my life a little bit easier. And hey, we get our first mission, and what do you know? They use map markers. Yes, quest icons, whatever. This game makes my life just a little bit easier, even though it still really isn't up my alley so far. Next thing to check out is the combat, and funny enough, the first creature in this game are also rats. And hey, what do you know, it's actually pretty smooth in this game. Alright, like I said, this one's gonna be short and sweet, and other than the absolutely terrible name, Will to Live Online, I mean that just sounds terrible. Has to be up there in worst game names I've ever played with, you know, next to like Black Squad or something. Either way, it's definitely the better of the two, but still just not up my alley. When I picked survival games, I maybe should have done a little bit more research. I just saw these two, thought they looked similar, but wasn't quite sure what I was getting myself into. Either way, this one's definitely the one I would play if I was definitely forced to, so go ahead and check this one out if everything I said still applies to you, but you want a slightly better experience. Alright, on to the last game of the bunch, which is Unturned. Oh, wait, no, that's a editing mistake. Hold on, it's Nomad. I mean, it looks like Unturned, but it's not. Well, alright, let's read the description and see where it sets itself apart from Unturned. Nomad is set years after an apocalypse. The world is overgrown, broken, and abandoned. Explore the massive 4km by 4km island to find gear, loot, and aid in your survival. Basically just runs down your generic open world survival game stuff like PvP, base building, and what have you. Again, spawning in, I do a little bit of the tutorial, collect some free items from this NPC that I saw before I got into the menu, and jumped right into the crafting. It's very reminiscent of Rust, but the art style movement feels a lot more like Unturned. I really like how easy it is to get a bow and some arrows though. Normally in these PvP focused games, it's really hard to get anything going, and you can definitely see yourself dying time after time again before getting any actual loot or gear. Next, I decided to do a little bit of exploring. I explored the closest area to spawn, which was like a little hotel type area. Right off the rip, I'm gonna be real with you guys. I don't hate this at all. I genuinely feel like the biggest shortcoming in this game right now is just lack of player base. So far, this is the only game of the bunch that I could actually see myself returning to if it actually prompted me. Funny enough, I think if it actually tried to be more like Unturned, it would actually help in its favor, more of a loot and gear type situation, and less focus on the base building. There's only about like 4 to 6 different areas that you can actually explore, and I think if you upped that, it would really help out the game, because the exploring and looting aspect has been a lot of fun for me so far. The next place I explored was a military base, so go ahead and check that one off of your generic survival game, having a military. I got 2 weapons from here, which was a shotgun and sniper, and hey, what do you know, they both worked as you thought they would, so hey, another point for them. Well, moving forward to a supply drop that I saw just kind of laying around, I just looked up at the sky and shot randomly at a bird and actually ended up hitting it, which was really cool. I assumed it was just, not something I could do, but hey, I just killed that bird that was flying by. It felt really cool. After trying out a few different locations and weapons in the game, I really feel like I experienced all that I could with the small amount of players that were on. Like I said, I actually kind of enjoyed this one, but if it aimed more towards of a PvE type survival, I think it would actually have a better long-term success. The game actually came out in 2015, and the most recent update was in November of 2021, which kind of blows my mind. I don't really think I was wrong to say that it was very Unturned inspired. It does feel like Unturned and Rust, unwanted love child with zombies running around, but the very heavy interest on building bases, making it super easy to build bases and whatnot. As it stands today, Nomad is pretty much dead. The servers were pretty empty when I jumped on. I think it could actually make some sort of small revival if they did that one thing I was talking about. I know when survival games hit their stride, it was really off the backs of a lot of PvP games, but I think nowadays PvE games are getting the spotlight as they can also sort of tell a story like The Forest or The Long Dark, or even the PvE games like Project Zomboid where you can tell your own story and just sort of go as you please. It also helps when a PvE game doesn't have a large player base because guess what, I can enjoy Project Zomboid by myself even if there aren't hundreds of other players playing it because I can just enjoy a sandbox single player experience. The majority of reviews for Nomad are negative, and it is as expected as the servers aren't very populated and there isn't much to do. That being said, a lot of people also complain about the zombies being a little bit too hard to fight, and I don't see where they're coming from that one. Either way, Nomad isn't terrible. I definitely don't understand why you'd get on it nowadays, but maybe if you had a group of like 5 to 10 people and are like, hey, why not? It could definitely be fun for a night or two. So what am I learning from all this? Well, your standard free-to-play game that's a survival game is going to have some sort of way to make money. It makes sense on why games like DayZ would be struggling to go free-to-play as there'd be no way for them to make money. Microtransactions would be hard to come by unless it was purely cosmetic, and even then cosmetics in DayZ offer a pretty big advantage. At the end of the day, none of the games I played today were very noteworthy or worth coming back to, but there are other good free-to-play survival games. Sometimes you just gotta go out of your way and find them yourself. Like I said, Unturned's a great alternative, and even for pretty quick PvP action, Infinite Station survival stories, even though not where it once was, is still a good fun if you just want some quick PvP fun. Now, I didn't really go out of my way to find great free-to-play survival games. I just sort of picked 3 that I found that were free and on Steam. That was the easiest way for me to find them. If you have specifically a great or good survival game that is free and want me to check out and talk about, go ahead and leave it down in the comments. I'll be glad to check it out. Either way, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Happy New Year. This video should be coming out sometime in January. But either way, like I said, if you guys enjoy this video, go ahead and leave a like. If you want to subscribe for more survival game related content, I'll be sure to be uploading more. And yeah, I'll see you next time.